Today, I'm going to be ranking every troop in Squad Busters from worst to best. But this one is the Showdown edition. That's right, this tier list is going to look very different to any other tier list I've done in the past. Dr. T actually isn't going to be garbage. Anyways, let's just get into it. So the first troop that I'm going to be putting in Do Not Pick is going to be Bo. Now, Bo does more damage against monsters, but most of the monsters in Showdown, they're very weak and easy to kill, and they're not really a huge priority like they are in, let's say, Gem Hunt. Also, you have a gold mine in middle, you have gold boxes, so there's plenty of coins to where you don't need that quick head start with a bow. It's not worth it. Do not even pick it. And then obviously we have Bandit and Trader, which are both troops that you can't even pick anyways. I'm also going to be putting Heavy in Don't Pick. Now, I know the longer you stand still, the more damage he does, and at the very end of the game, you have to stand still, but I still think if you're moving just a little inch, it's going to reset its damage anyways, which you probably are going to be moving little bit by little bit in the final minute, I assume. So I just don't think he's that good. I also think the medic isn't very good either. So the way the medic works is the more passive you are, the more healing you get. But this is not a passive mode. There's not really a chance to be passive, especially late game. So you're just not going to be healing at all. He does no damage, has no health. He's just going to die, not even going to heal you. Don't pick him. These troops, meh, they're usable, but yeah. And we're going to be starting off with the Mortis. Now, there's actually no spooky world in Showdown. At least I haven't seen one, and I've played a lot of games, so I just think there isn't any. So the best you can really get is maybe like a couple guards or maybe a couple of those medium-sized monsters. You can't really get anything from the spooky world, which would actually be a lot better. But he does make your squad look more scary because he gets it to be a little bit bigger, which is decent. So sometimes he's fine, which is why he's in there. I'm also going to be putting Frank in there. I know he's tanky and he does do splash damage, and he received a buff in this recent update. But compared to other splash damage units, for example, a Dynamite got a bigger buff than a Frank got, and he's just not a good splash damage unit. Make sure you're picking Dynamite over Frank, maybe even Archers over Frank. He's not very good. We're going to be putting Goblin in Meh as well. Now, if you have an ultimate Goblin, I think I would move it up to It's Okay. But if you don't have an ultimate Goblin, which is 99% of you, he's Meh. So the thing is, you get plenty enough coins from just killing these small monsters, gold boxes, the gold mine in middle, the modifier can sometimes give you a bunch of coins. You really don't need extra coins, which is why also I'm going to be putting Greg and Mavis in Meh as well. They're not as good as I thought they would be. Now, you can use them sometimes if you have a bad modifier or you haven't gotten a bunch of coins, but they're just not very good. They're not going to help you in the end of the game. You get more than enough coins already in this mode. And by the way, even if you have a squad half the size of someone else who decided to farm with Mavis and Greg, all you need to do is just get a potion. Get one of those mega potions, run over to them, take out half their squad, and boom, they're on your level. And now you've actually got scarier troops than them while they're just stuck with Mavis's, Gregs, and Goblins. Nita is also a Meh unit. If you're playing doppelgangers, actually very, very good. But if you're not playing doppelgangers, it's kind of meh. The bear is very tanky, which is good, but the troop itself doesn't do enough damage. And well, if she dies, then we're also putting the Witch in Meh, which actually received a buff in this recent update, and she does, I think, 250 damage a second, which is quite a lot. For some reason, I still don't feel like Witch is very good. She's definitely better, which is why she's not in Don't Pick. You can use that skeleton barrel spell to drop it on someone and maybe distract them for a little bit, but that's all. We're also putting Colt in Meh. I was gonna put Colt in It's Okay, but the thing is, Colt is a little bit of a squishy unit, and I don't think he makes up for it in the damage he does because it's not really splash. Although he's at the top of Meh because he's barely It's Okay, which by the way would be a decent unit. In fact, I'm going to rename It's Okay to decent. And then the last unit in Meh is going to be Penny. Now, Penny, she drops that treasure map, which by the way doesn't really give you that much. It gives you some coins, but in the time that it will take you to get to your treasure map, you probably could have grinded more coins from the gold mine, gold boxes, or just killing monsters. In fact, whenever I'm picking a Penny, it's just for its 250 damage a second, and that's it. It's not for any other reason, just the damage, and most of the time, I won't even get the Penny maps. They're not worth it. Unless obviously you're right next to one, you might as well get it, but it's not worth going out of your way to get it. Anyways, next up, we're moving into decent, and at the very bottom of decent, we're going to be putting the Archer. Similar health to Colt, although that arrow rain ability is so good for wiping out squads so quickly, especially when you realize at the end of the game, you're going to be all put into a very small part of the map, just like Angry Vines, meaning there's nowhere to run. You're going to get striked by those Archer arrow rain abilities. It's good, only if you confuse it up, which is why it's indecent. El Primo is also decent. tanky, stuns a lot, which is good. And then its damage is meh. It's splash damage, but it's mainly for its health and also the fact that it stuns. We also have Jessie in decent. Those turrets are actually really, really good, especially if you can throw a bunch of them down. You can use them as defense in later parts of the game, or even early in the game if you just want to use those turrets to defend you a little bit. Not bad. Leon is another troop that is decent. When you go invisible, no one can even damage you. So if someone gets a mega potion, chases you down, you have a Leon, you use his invisibility spell, or the person with the mega potion can't even kill you because you're invisible, and well, they can sit on top of you as much as they want. They can't damage you. Although at the end of the game, they can damage you because the vines are coming in so quickly. So not very good in end game, much better early game. But most of the fighting is going to be end game regardless. So, and then for our first actual decent healer, we're going to have Pam. Pam is a good healer. That healing station's good. There's a lot of healing, and healing is very, very important in this modifier. Not stupid healing from the medic, but every other type of healing is good because you do not want to go into the final few seconds of a game with the angry vines all closing in with not a lot of health. You will lose that game. We're also going to be putting B in decent. The only problem with B is because the vines are a little bit unpredictable, you're not always going to be able to get your B in a Bs because the vines might have covered up all of the Bs in the map. So I've had some games where I've had a B or a fused B and I couldn't even get her B in a B because unfortunately the vines just all closed on top of all of the B. But if you can get the B in a B early enough, then it's good. Very good. And then the last troop in decent is going to be the wizard. Very good because you get 2 spell slots. So if you hold on to like a rage and a shrink in the final few seconds of a game, you can drop a shrink, everybody's been shrunk, use a rage, wipe out the lobby and win. Or if you have a super free spell and a bomb spell, you can drop those both at the same time. It's good for those 2 spell slots. Much better in this mode than it is in gem hunt because in this mode, you're all going to be in a small part of the map. And this is why a lot of troops are actually going to become useful in this mode when they're not useful in gem hunt, just because of the fact that you're going to be put in a small portion of the map, such as Royale King and Dr. T, which are both good units. Yup, I might be a little bit overly excited over them, but they're at the very bottom of good. They're not very good. They're not amazing. They're just the bottom of good. In fact, in one of my first games of Showdown, I just had 0 good epics. I picked a Royale King. I had a squad weaker than everybody else, and then I just kept picking Royale Kings, and in the final minute, I had so many guards protecting me. There was nothing anyone could do, and I barely won it. Same with Dr. T, that Mega Crab, pretty good to defend you. In fact, I would say a little bit better than the recruits that the Royale King spawns in. I still think these units do need buffs, but they are usable in this mode. In fact, they're good. We also have the Miner in good. Now, the Miner actually got removed from Showdown literally on the day it got released because there was a bug where if the Miner went underground, he couldn't take any damage from vines, meaning it was impossible to lose a game if you had enough turbo. But he will be coming back in Showdown, and I think he will be a good unit. I'm kind of predicting here because I haven't really used him much. I used him in a few games and that was it. We also have Optimus Prime, which is our next kind of tanky healer. You get healed when you take damage, which I think is pretty good. Optimus Prime, tanky units, and then healing is very important. Same with the Battle Healer, another healer. You get more health. Battle Healer is a really good unit. I wouldn't say very good, but it is good nearish top. Having extra health is very important in this modifier. And then the best healer in the game, we all knew this was going to come here. It's going to be Poco. He is at the top for all of the healers in this game because he's an aggressive healer. The more aggressive you are, the more healing you get done, because the way he works is when you're attacking someone, it charges up his ability. When his ability's charged, you get a big, huge burst of healing to fully heal your squad. And I have won games simply just from Poco out healing other people in the final few seconds when the vines are all closing in. Elite 1 in good, tanky, does good damage, makes your turbo last longer, which also very good in the final few seconds. Shelly is a pretty solid unit, received a pretty decent buff. She now does 220 damage, and especially when you rage her up with that mega potion, she stuns, she does splash, she does a lot of damage. What is there not to like? Same with Barbarian. Now, obviously, if you have an ultimate Barbarian, this is the best unit in the game for this modifier. You can wipe people out so quickly, but most of you guys don't have an ultimate Barbarian, similar level to a Shelly. And then we have our first speedster unit, I guess after Leon. It's gonna be Max. Max at the very, very top of good. Turbo is very, very important in this modifier. So important if you want to kill people, especially early on. Later in the game, Max isn't as useful because, well, you're going to be stuck in a little small portion of the map. If you're going for earlier kills, you need a Max or a chicken or a hog, which we'll get to. And then the last unit in good is going to be Dynamite. I was going to put Max over Dynamite, decided Dynamite is a little better. If you can get 1 or 2 fused Dynamites, all you need to do is wait until the very end of the game, wait for everybody to come into middle, and boom, you win because that splash is crazy, especially if you get some good healers and some more defense. Anyways, we we are now moving on to very good. These troops are very good, obviously. And the first troop is going to be the chicken. A troop, which I actually think in Gem Hunt is do not pick. In this modifier is very good. But that's because in Gem Hunt, you can choose your rotation and you would choose a hog over a chicken. Anyway, so turbo is something you do not get a lot of at all in this game. And that's because blue boxes are replaced with gold boxes. So most of the time, you won't even have a single turbo boot. So you can never finish someone off. And that's why a lot of these games last till the very end. And having those extra turbo boots is very useful. And you might think, oh, but then you have a chicken that doesn't do a lot of damage, doesn't have crazy health. But when you have that mega potion, you do a lot more damage. So it's good to have that extra turbo. And then the chicken at that point is like a mini barbarian. We also have the hog rider in very good. I was going to put it at the top of very good, but you no longer get that extra turbo from vines, which now makes sense to why they nerfed hog rider, because this mode is all about vines. So not as good, but still very, very good. A lot of people think hog is worse than it actually is. It is good. Then we have the ice wizard, not just for the ice fan ability, but also for the super freeze spell. That spell is really helpful when you're in the very few seconds of a game. You just drop it on you, and then there's nowhere anyone can go. They just get frozen. They do so much less damage, attack so much less faster, can't move really at all, and then you just wipe him out, also with the ice fan ability as well. The tank, now the tank moves at crazy speeds when you have a mega potion. Also, it's tanky as well. We've been over that, but she just shoots like a machine gun. She goes bop, 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 bop. Then we have the archer queen, very good to combo with the tank, especially if you have an ultra archer queen. Those expo spells in the final few seconds of the game is very good. And you'll notice with this video, I keep saying in the final few seconds of a game, because most games will last until the final few seconds, and that's what you're building a squad for. The expo spell or a tank, an archer queen, so they shoot really quickly and you wipe everyone out. Next up, we have Barbarian King. The super rage spell is good at the final few seconds of a game, but with the mega potion in the game, the mega potion is actually way better than a super rage spell. If you have a super rage spell, do not fight someone with a mega potion. But obviously the spell is still really good. You're doing double damage with a super rage potion. The Barbarian King is tanky, does a lot of damage. He has the stunning ability, very good unit. And then the last unit at the very top of very good, this was obvious. It's going to be Colonel Ruffs. If you have a Colonel Ruffs in your rotation and somebody else doesn't, you're probably winning the game. I've been in games where someone has had a Colonel Ruffs, I have not, and then they just had double squad sizes to me, and there's nothing you can do. They have a Colonel Ruffs, they're getting 3 fusions back to back to back, and the only way to win at that point would be with mega potions and then kind of getting lucky and going for them aggressively. Now, obviously, this mode is still very, very new, and I've only been playing for about 5 hours. I've probably played about 50 to 60 to 100-ish games of Showdown, so a lot, but not as much as I've played in Gem Hunt. So I'm sure this tier list will change next month when I do my re-edition. Make sure to use code Claz in the Squad Busters shop if you ever do decide to buy anything, and check out my last video on screen right here on Duos, where I invited the #1 player from Japan, KYO, to help me destroy some lobbies. I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.